Picture two people starting their financial lives at the same time. Same city, same opportunities, same access to information. The first person believes something most people never question. They believe that making more money is the solution to everything. So they focus on increasing their income. They chase promotions, they switch jobs, they negotiate salaries. And over time, it works. Their income climbs. $40,000 becomes $70,000, then $100,000, then more. But something strange happens along the way. Every time their income increases, their life expands to meet it. The apartment gets nicer, the car gets newer, the expenses quietly grow in the background. Nothing feels excessive, nothing feels irresponsible, it just feels like progress. And yet, every month ends the same way. The money comes in, the money goes out. And despite earning more than they ever imagined, they still feel like they're standing in the same place. Now, picture the second person. They don't earn dramatically more. In fact, for most of their life, they earn less. But they approach money differently from the beginning. Quietly, systematically, almost invisibly. They don't rely on discipline. They don't obsess over budgets. They don't try to outwork their impulses. Instead, they build a system. And over time, something equally strange happens. Their income grows slowly, but their wealth grows rapidly. Their stress decreases, their options expand, and one day they look up and realize they've built something most people never do. This isn't a story about income. It's a story about what happens in the gap between what you earn and what you keep. And more importantly, it's about the hidden system that determines whether that gap ever exists at all. Most people believe money problems are solved by earning more. But if that were true, high earners wouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck. And yet, millions of them are. The real issue isn't income. It's the absence of a system. Let me show you what I mean. There's a pattern that shows up again and again when you look at people who struggle financially. It doesn't matter how much they earn. The pattern is always the same. Money arrives and then disappears. No friction, no structure, no direction. It feels normal because it's common, but it has a name. It's called having no plan. When you have no plan, money flows through your life like water through your hands. You can't hold on to it, not because you're irresponsible, but because nothing is designed to keep it. Now compare that to someone who builds wealth consistently. The difference isn't discipline, it isn't intelligence, it isn't even income. It's automation. The first shift is simple, but it changes everything. Pay yourself before anyone else gets paid. Most people pay their bills first, then they spend what's left, and if anything remains, they might save it. Wealthy individuals reverse that order completely. The moment money enters their life, a portion of it is removed automatically and directed toward their future. They don't wait to decide. They don't rely on willpower. They remove the decision entirely. Because here's something most people don't realize. Willpower is unreliable. Systems are not. If saving requires a decision every month, eventually you'll skip it. You'll be tired or stressed or something will feel more urgent. But if saving happens automatically, it doesn't depend on how you feel. It happens whether you're motivated or not. That's the first principle. Remove yourself from the equation. The second shift is understanding something that sounds simple but is rarely practiced. Small amounts of money, applied consistently, become large amounts of money. Most people underestimate this because they focus on the size of the action instead of the duration. Let's take something almost insignificant, a small daily amount, an amount most people wouldn't notice, something that disappears easily through coffee, subscriptions, or small conveniences. Individually, it feels meaningless, but over decades, when invested and allowed to grow, it becomes life-changing. Not because the amount was large, but because it was consistent. This is where most people get stuck. They believe they needed dramatic change to change their life, a higher salary, a big break, a sudden opportunity. But wealth rarely comes from dramatic moments. It comes from repeated behavior, quiet, predictable, automatic behavior. The third shift is one that challenges a very popular belief. Making more money does not make you rich. It gives you the opportunity to become rich, but it does not guarantee it. Because without a system, increased income simply leads to increased spending. This is what's known as lifestyle expansion, and it's one of the most dangerous financial patterns because it feels like success. You earn more, so you upgrade your life. and that upgrade becomes your new normal. Then you need to earn even more just to feel progress again. The cycle continues infinitely. The result is someone who earns a high income but has nothing to show for it, not because they failed, but because their system never changed. The fourth shift is understanding where wealth actually comes from. If you look closely, wealth isn't created randomly. It tends to come from the same places over and over again. Ownership, not consumption. Ownership of assets that grow over time. This includes things like businesses, investments, and real estate. And here's where things become important. Most people participate in the economy only as consumers. They buy products, they pay for services, they fund the system, but they don't own any part of it. And when you don't own, you don't benefit from growth. You only experience the cost of it. The people who build wealth position themselves differently. They become owners, even in small ways. They invest in markets, they acquire assets, they put themselves on the side of growth instead of just participating in it. That shift changes everything. The fifth principle builds on this idea. Your financial life should be predictable, not exciting. This goes against almost everything you see online: fast money, quick wins, high-risk opportunities. But the reality is simple. Excitement and wealth rarely exist in the same place. The more exciting your financial decisions feel, the more likely they are to be driven by emotion instead of logic. And emotion is where mistakes happen. Wealth, on the other hand, is built through repetition, through doing the same simple things over and over again. Saving, investing, holding. Not chasing, not reacting, just continuing. The sixth shift is about time. Most people think they need perfect timing to succeed financially, the right moment to invest, the right moment to buy, the right moment to act. But the people who succeed rely on time. They start early, they stay consistent, and they allow time to do the work that effort alone cannot. Because time does something powerful, it compounds. Not just money, but decisions. Every good decision builds on the last one. Every missed opportunity compounds in the opposite direction. And over decades, the difference becomes massive. The seventh principle is about environment. Your financial behavior is not just a result of your knowledge, it's a result of your surroundings, the systems you use, the tools you rely on, the defaults you accept. If spending is easy and saving is difficult, you will spend. If saving is easy and spending requires effort, you will save. This isn't about discipline, it's about design. Change the environment and behavior follows. Automate transfers, remove friction from investing, add friction to spending. Small changes in structure create large changes in outcome. The eighth shift is one that very few people ever define. What is enough? Without a clear definition of enough, there is no finish line. No matter how much you earn, it will never feel sufficient because the target keeps moving. More income leads to more expectations. More expectations lead to more spending, and the cycle continues. But when you define enough, something changes. You stop chasing endlessly. You create a boundary, and anything beyond that boundary becomes optional. That's where wealth begins. Not when you earn more, but when you stop needing more. The ninth principle is the most important one. Wealth is not measured by what you own. It's measured by what you can choose. Can you walk away from something that no longer serves you? Can you take time when you need it? Can you make decisions based on what matters instead of what you can afford? That's real wealth, and it only exists when your expenses are significantly lower than your income, because that gap creates freedom. Without that gap, even a high income becomes a constraint. With that gap, even a modest income becomes powerful. And this brings us back to where we started. Two people, same starting point, different outcomes. One focused on earning more but never built a system. Their life expanded with their income, leaving no room for growth. The other focused on structure, on automation, on consistency. They didn't rely on motivation. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They simply built a system that worked whether they felt like it or not. And over time, that system did what systems always do. It compounded. The difference between these two lives isn't intelligence, it isn't luck, it isn't even opportunity. It's design. One life was left to chance. The other was built on purpose. And once you understand that, you realize something most people never do. Wealth isn't measured by what you own, it's measured by what you can choose. Because in the end, money doesn't build wealth, systems do.